I stared at my phone, reading the message for the fifth time as if the words might somehow rearrange themselves into something less devastating. Just need to let you know I won't be back tomorrow as planned. Extended the retreat a few more days. The energy here is exactly what I needed. Don't wait up. The message itself wasn't the problem. It was the notification that appeared above it, a location tag she'd forgotten to disable. Posting from Paradise Cove Resort, Maui. Not the spiritual women's retreat in Sedona she'd told me about. Not even close. My hands trembled as I set down the phone. On our kitchen counter sat the anniversary dinner I'd prepared. Salmon with dill sauce, her favorite. Roasted vegetables arranged in a heart shape, 2 perfectly chilled glasses of champagne, and a small velvet box containing the diamond earrings I'd saved 6 months to buy. 10 years of marriage, celebrated alone. I picked up my phone again and opened our bank app. The charge was right there, $4,197 for a beachfront suite at Paradise Cove. Another swipe revealed the second airline ticket purchased 3 days ago. Not in my name. All I could think was, who travels to Maui for a women's healing retreat? I already knew the answer. I'm Michael Lawson, 38, financial analyst at Barrick Partners in Chicago. I own a comfortable 3-bedroom colonial in the suburbs with the requisite picket fence and maple trees. Responsible, stable, the kind of man who plans retirement accounts and checks the tire pressure before road trips. The kind of husband who remembers birthdays, anniversaries, and his wife's favorite wine. Claire and I met in college. She was vibrant, ambitious, studying marketing and public relations. We married young, at 28, after I'd established myself professionally. She built a respectable career at Horizon Media, where she now manages their biggest accounts. We had what I thought was the perfect balance: dual incomes, shared dreams, weekend getaways, and plans for children someday soon. We weren't supposed to be a cautionary tale. I scrolled back through Claire's texts, finding the thread from her friend Melissa about the retreat. Sparse details, vague responses. The tickets had been purchased just 2 weeks ago, spontaneous for a planned women's event. Then I found it. A name I hadn't seen in years but recognized instantly. Jason Mercer, her college boyfriend. The one that got away before we met. The one she'd assured me was just a harmless memory when his name came up at a reunion 3 years ago. I remembered how she'd laughed when I'd expressed concern about them reconnecting on social media. He's married with kids in California, Michael. We're just catching up as old friends. You're too sensitive. A quick search showed Jason was now divorced, had moved to Chicago 8 months ago, and worked 3 blocks from Claire's office. I poured myself a glass of the anniversary champagne and sat in silence as night fell around our empty house. When Claire had first mentioned the retreat, I'd been supportive. You deserve some self-care time, I'd told her, helping her pack. She'd seemed distracted, almost guilty, but I'd attributed it to work stress. It's just 4 days, she'd said, not meeting my eyes. The timing with our anniversary isn't ideal, but this retreat only happens once a year. I remembered the slight hesitation when I'd offered to drive her to the airport. No need, she'd insisted. Melissa's husband is dropping us both off on his way to work. Now, as I methodically went through our shared tablet to find her location, pieces fell into place. Her passwords hadn't changed. She'd never imagined I would look. Her email revealed everything: dinner reservations, couples massage appointments, a sunset cruise. And the messages: can't wait to feel your hands on me again. These last months have been the most alive I've felt in years. He has no idea. Just thinks it's a girl's trip. So trusting it's almost sad. The betrayal wasn't just the affair, it was the mockery, the calculated deception, the cruel convenience of using our anniversary as cover. I didn't scream. I didn't break things. I sat perfectly still, feeling a strange detachment wash over me, as if I were observing someone else's tragedy. My breathing remained steady, My hands stopped shaking. In that moment, something crystallized within me. Not rage, but resolve. Cold, clear purpose. I finished the champagne and cleared away the romantic dinner I'd prepared, wrapping the food methodically for leftovers. I placed the diamond earrings back in my dresser drawer. Then I sat at my desk and opened my laptop. People mistake calmness for weakness. They shouldn't. We'd had good years. That was the cruel part. I remembered our honeymoon in Greece, how Claire had insisted on learning enough Greek to order meals for us both. How proud she'd been when the locals smiled at her attempts. I remembered the night my father died, how she'd held me as I finally broke down, how she'd handled all the funeral arrangements while I processed my grief. I remembered building our home together, painting rooms on weekends, arguing playfully about furniture, making love on a mattress on the floor before our bedroom set was delivered. Had it all been a lie? Number that would be too simple. The truth was worse. Those moments had been real. We had been happy. But somewhere along the way, she'd decided it wasn't enough. I wasn't enough. There had been warning signs, of course, her increased privacy with her phone, late nights at client meetings, the way she'd stopped talking about having children, the subtle criticisms of my predictability, my steadiness, the very qualities she'd once valued. "You're so reliable, Michael," she'd said recently, and it hadn't sounded like a compliment. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I made calls, first to a divorce attorney who specialized in adultery cases, then to a private investigator recommended by a colleague whose wife had similarly strayed. By morning, I had a plan. I emptied our safe of important documents, birth certificates, property deeds, investment records. I transferred my personal savings to a new account at a different bank. I documented every item of value in our home with photographs, particularly Claire's extensive collection of designer clothes, handbags, and jewelry, most of which I'd gifted her over the years. I contacted our credit card companies to flag any unusual spending and requested transaction records for the past 6 months. I changed the passwords on our investment accounts and retirement funds. I documented the exact timeline of her deception, saving screenshots, forwarding emails to myself. All the while, I maintained normal text conversations with her. "Hope the retreat is going well. Missing you, but glad you're getting what you need. Don't worry about rushing back. Take the time you need." She responded with vague platitudes about finding her center and spiritual awakening. I wondered if she was laughing with him as she typed those words. By day 2, the private investigator had sent the first photos. Claire and Jason at dinner, hands intertwined across the table. Claire and Jason on the beach, his arms around her waist. Claire and Jason entering their suite, stopping to kiss in the doorway. I felt physically ill but forced myself to look at each image, to accept the reality of what was happening. Then came worse discoveries. Checking our financial records revealed Claire had been transferring small amounts from our joint savings to a private account for months, almost $30,000 in total. She'd applied for a credit card in my name that I'd never authorized. There were charges for hotel rooms in Chicago dating back 4 months. This wasn't a spontaneous mistake or midlife crisis. This was calculated betrayal. The final blow came when I found draft emails to a realtor about potentially listing our house, our home, for sale when the time is right. She'd been planning an exit strategy, preparing to dismantle our life together while smiling at me across the dinner table. I called my attorney and upgraded my retainer. On day 3, the investigator delivered the jackpot, security footage from the resort. It hadn't been difficult to obtain. He had connections and, more importantly, I had money to spend. The hotel's privacy policy had surprising loopholes when presented with the right incentives. The footage showed Claire and Jason entering and exiting their suite at various times, dining at the resort restaurants, and most damning, embracing intimately by the private pool attached to their beachfront accommodations. Everything was date and time stamped. Meanwhile, my attorney confirmed what I'd suspected. Claire's use of our joint funds to finance her affair constituted marital fraud. Her unauthorized credit card application in my name was identity theft. Her plans to sell jointly owned property without my knowledge was attempted real estate fraud. This wasn't just a betrayal of our marriage, it was potentially criminal. More digging revealed something else. Jason wasn't just an ex-boyfriend, he was Claire's new boss. She'd helped him get hired at Horizon Media 4 months ago, pushing for his recruitment despite his questionable industry reputation. She'd deliberately concealed this connection from me. Company policy strictly prohibited romantic relationships between managers and subordinates. Claire had violated professional ethics along with our marriage vows. All these threads connected into a tapestry of deception more elaborate than I could have imagined. On the evening of the 3rd day, while Claire was presumably enjoying tropical cocktails with her lover, I executed my plan. First, I contacted Claire's parents, conservative, traditional people who had welcomed me as a son. I hated involving them, but they deserved to know why their daughter's marriage was ending. I sent a respectful but detailed email explaining the situation, attaching only the most necessary evidence. Next, I contacted Horizon Media's HR department. My message was straightforward and professional, explaining that I felt ethically obligated to report a potential violation of company policy. I included evidence of their relationship and noted that Claire had called in sick for her retreat. I specifically mentioned concerns about professional ethics and potential favoritism, not personal grievances. Then, I filed for divorce. My attorney had prepared everything. We submitted the paperwork citing adultery, fraud, and financial misconduct. The judge, reviewing the evidence, granted an emergency order freezing our joint assets pending investigation of the financial improprieties. I had the locks changed, security system recoded, and filed for a temporary restraining order based on the identity theft and unauthorized financial activities. Not spite, but legitimate self-protection measures my attorney had recommended. Finally, I listed Claire's SUV for sale. The vehicle was in my name alone, a birthday gift I'd purchased outright. By midnight, I had accepted an offer from a dealer at a fair market price. I instructed my attorney to donate the proceeds to New Beginnings Women's Shelter. The irony wasn't lost on me. Claire had once volunteered there before deciding it wasn't glamorous enough for her networking goals. I slept soundly for the first time in days. I didn't directly expose Claire on social media. That would have been beneath me. Instead, I simply ensured the truth was accessible to those who should know it. I created a private digital folder containing all the evidence, the resort footage, the financial records, the work emails, the unauthorized credit applications. I secured it with heavy encryption and limited access permissions. Then I sent the access link to a selective list: Claire's parents, her brother, our closest mutual friends, my attorney, and Horizon Media's legal department. The digital folder was titled Claire Lawson, The Truth Behind the Retreat. I included a brief note. I am not seeking to destroy Claire's reputation, only to ensure that the facts are known to those directly affected. I ask for privacy and respect as I navigate this difficult time. Then I went silent, following my attorney's advice to cease all direct communication with Claire. Any necessary contact would go through legal channels. Within hours, the consequences began cascading. Claire's father called my phone, leaving a voicemail full of shocked apologies and assurances of their support for me. Her mother texted that she was heartbroken and ashamed. Horizon Media's HR director emailed confirming receipt of my information and assuring me of a thorough investigation. 2 mutual friends texted expressions of disbelief and solidarity. I responded to none of it. This wasn't about gathering allies or stoking drama. It was about truth and consequences. Claire returned from Maui to find her electronic keycard deactivated, her codes rejected, and a legal notice taped to our front door. When she called, frantically, I didn't answer. When she texted, I didn't respond. Her messages grew increasingly desperate as reality set in. Michael, this is insane. Let me explain. You're completely overreacting. It wasn't what it looked like. You had no right to contact my parents or my work. Please, just talk to me. You can't throw away 10 years over one mistake. Finally, they've suspended me pending investigation. Jason is denying everything, saying I pursued him. My parents won't even speak to me. What have you done? I forwarded each message to my attorney without reply. Meanwhile, the legal machinery I'd set in motion continued its inexorable progress. The judge reviewed our case, my evidence, and Claire's unauthorized financial activities. The ruling came swiftly. All joint assets would remain frozen until full financial discovery was complete. Claire's unauthorized credit applications were referred to the fraud department for investigation. Her parents, devastated by her behavior and the public embarrassment, several family friends had been quietly informed, announced they were revising their will. Their statement was brief but crushing. We cannot condone or reward actions that violate the values we hold sacred. Jason, facing professional scrutiny and potential termination, publicly distanced himself from Claire. His statement to HR claimed she had misrepresented her marital status and pressured him into the relationship. True or not, it was the final betrayal. Within 2 weeks, Claire was suspended without pay, served with divorce papers, locked out of our financial accounts, and ostracized by her family and most of our social circle. I took a leave of absence from work, using accumulated vacation time to travel to Italy, a country Claire and I had always planned to visit together. I sent no photos, made no social media posts. This wasn't about showing off my freedom. It was about reclaiming my life. The divorce proceedings were surprisingly swift. Claire, facing multiple fronts of personal and professional disaster, lacked resources to mount a significant legal defense. The evidence of financial misconduct was irrefutable. The judge awarded me the house, the majority of our assets, and ordered Claire to reimburse the misappropriated funds. Horizon Media terminated both Claire and Jason following their investigation. The company's ethics policy was clear, and their violation had been comprehensive. More damaging for Claire was the industry-wide reputation damage. Marketing and PR circles are small, and gossip travels fast. I received a tentative call from Jason's ex-wife, thanking me for inadvertently exposing the truth. Apparently, Claire wasn't his first workplace affair, just the latest in a pattern that had destroyed his marriage. As for Claire, I heard through mutual connections that she'd moved to a small apartment in a less desirable neighborhood, working retail while trying to rebuild her career. Her parents maintained their distance. Her luxury possessions, sold to cover legal fees and court-ordered restitution, were gone. I felt no joy in her downfall, just a quiet satisfaction that justice had prevailed. 6 months after filing for divorce, I received a letter from Claire. Not an email or text, but an actual handwritten letter. She apologized comprehensively, acknowledging every deception, every betrayal, every cruelty. She asked not for reconciliation, but for forgiveness. I read it once, then filed it away without response. A year to the day after discovering her betrayal, I donated her diamond anniversary earrings to the same women's shelter that received the proceeds from her SUV. The director sent a formal acknowledgement letter addressed to Claire at our old address, now my address alone. I forwarded it to her without comment. It was the only communication I ever initiated. Life rebuilt itself slowly, deliberately. I sold our house, too large for one person, too laden with memories, and purchased a modern condo downtown with a view of the lake. I accepted a promotion that required occasional international travel, something Claire had always resisted. I adopted a rescue dog, a calm shepherd mix who greets me each evening with uncomplicated loyalty. I dated casually at first, then more seriously. Emily is an architectural engineer, brilliant, honest, financially independent. She knows my story, understands my caution. We move forward slowly, building trust brick by brick. I sometimes think about Claire, not with longing but with a kind of distant pity. She gambled our life together for a fantasy and lost everything. I hope she's found some measure of peace or wisdom from the experience. As for me, I've discovered something unexpected: gratitude. Not for the betrayal, but for the clarity it ultimately brought. I'm stronger now, more discerning, more authentic. I know my worth and refuse to accept less than complete honesty in my relationships. Sometimes the most devastating endings create the possibility for better beginnings. The dissolution of what we were allowed me to discover who I truly am, not just someone's husband, but a man of principle, resilience, and yes, even compassion. Justice served its purpose. Now, it's time to live. And that's the end of today's story. If you enjoyed it, please give this video a thumbs up and drop a comment below. Your support helps the algorithm push my content further. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It really helps me keep creating more stories for you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.